Hello and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. We are moving on with season 6 with episode 6, How the Ghosts Stole Christmas. Brian, it's another fun one, another wacky episode in this crazy season.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty straight-laced so far, so it's about time we had a wacky one. Yeah. So yeah, it's wacky. There's not many locations. That's the thing. I feel like this is one of them episodes where it's there to bring in the budget kind of thing. It's like we need to keep the show under budget. We need to confine it to just a couple of locations and literally just have Mulder and Scully and maybe a couple of other actors. And I think probably it's coming out of that, the necessity for that. Sometimes that works really well. You know, they say that necessity is the mother of invention and all that. And yeah, we'll get into it as we go through. The question is this going to be so wacky that it's annoying, or is it going to be wacky as in, you know what, I had a blast with this was just a really good time. I'm really interested to see where you land on this one. My memory going into this, I will say, was not entirely positive.
Okay.
It's not an episode I've seen all that often. My memories of it were that, yeah, it's all right, but nothing particularly special. My opinion is different this time around.
Okay.
Whether it's that I think this is absolutely brilliant or a total bomb is what I guess we'll find out. But do you care to hazard a guess as to where this sits among the 217 episodes on IMDb?
Yeah, this is a tough one, I think, because it's really like it doesn't tie into the rest of the X-Files, if you ask me. It just kind of like is standalone. It's a little bit weird. We've got full-on ghosts conversing with our main characters. I think this could be a polarizing episode for the fans. I'm going to go high on this one, I think, and go 112. I think it's middle of the pack. I think it's not near the bottom. It's like further up the table, so to speak.
Right.
So 112th.
I will tell you that it comes in at number 67.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So top third at any rate.
Surprising.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into it.
Yeah, indeed you do.
We start off with Scully meeting Mulder on Christmas Eve, and Mulder tells her a story, a ghost story. Well, a little story about two lovers that kind of made a suicide pact on Christmas Eve and have since, supposedly, as legend goes, come back to haunt this house where they committed suicide every year on Christmas Eve ever since. Scully she ain't impressed. She's got presents to wrap. She wants to go and wrap her presents. And Mulder just goes anyway. He gets out of the car and just goes. And Scully's sat there going, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. My New Year's resolution, I'm not going to do it. And then car keys have gone. So she's got no choice. So she gets out. Off she goes. As far as introductions go,
I kind of like this one. It sets out its stall early on. I like the kind of idea of this little story they set up of the lovers who make a tryst, and you could stretch things out to go like it is a bit like Mulder and Scully. A partnership who come together to achieve a goal, uncover the truth, move forward, and perpetually never seem to get anywhere and are constantly just treading the same water. They're always so. I kind of like that little tie to it. And just the way that they get in the house is a bit spooky, and the doors slam. That just before the credits roll. I'm looking for a fun ghost story. It feels very tropey, the dry ice machine, the dated old building. But that's my kind of thing. So I'm good to go here.
So I love like how even in this setup, like what I was saying with the budgetary side of things, normally we'd kind of have Mulder and Scully driving across some open spaces, and they would cut into the car as they have the conversation. We don't even have any of that. We start off at the location, and we never leave the location. Like whether or not the interior we get in this is the interior of this exterior, I don't know. But either way, all the exterior stuff is in one place, and then all the interior stuff, probably a studio setting, but just really confined, really contained, really controllable. It's just like Mulder's already there in the car when Scully shows up.
And it could be budgetary, but I really do feel as if they're trying to draw a parallel between two ghosts and their two main characters. Our two main characters don't leave this location, so our two main characters in this, similar to the ghosts, will not leave this location.
Yeah.
Which, So
Absolutely.
if they are saving money, they're doing it with rationale. They've wrote it into the story as to why they would. They're implying.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they've definitely made it work. Very much in the same way they did with Ice, Like, you look at Ice, fairly contained. Yeah, so they're trapped, as Graham alluded to. The door slams behind them when they go in. And after the opening credits, Scully tries to convince Mulder that she's not scared. She gives like rationalization overload. So she's just spewing. So it's that whole the lady doth protest too much kind of syndrome, where like that the very thing she's saying she doesn't believe is actually what she does believe, because that's why she's going overboard with it.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those, it's like a trait of humans. Like, you could be in your house, you could have literally checked every door and lock, and the place is secure, but you hear a noise in the dark and instantly your senses are alert. Even though your mind's like, everything's fine, there is nothing there, you're like, hang on.
Yeah.
What's that noise?
We've all been there. We've got, is it Mulder who says to Scully, "Tell me you're not afraid"? And something happens that kind of makes them like jump a bit, and then he's like, "I got your back."
Yeah.
Kind of almost like edging her to go forward.
Yeah, when the door opens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies first, almost.
Yeah, I got your back, Scully. You go on ahead. I'll cover you. It's just Mulder through and through. So, turns out there's some lights on in the library and a perfectly timed clock, as well as some fire embers. So basically all the signs of life in this house that supposedly has no one living in it, and certainly wasn't lit up from the outside when they were sat in the car looking in. And again, throughout this whole thing, we're seeing Scully kind of just constantly, nope, this isn't what I'm seeing. There's some rational explanation for this. And then we get one of the, as you said, it's full of those tropes, and we get one right here, which is the lightning strike. So,
but it's all comfortable, isn't it? It's like, it's fun.
Yeah. We know it. It's is it The Haunting, that the old black and white film, The Haunting? So lightning strike, the lights go out. There's a tapping, floorboards, tapping under the floorboards, and then so when they come into the room, it's one of those things where if you're not paying attention, you don't kind of realize what's just happened. Because I literally had to wind it back. That's more people probably saw what happened. This is probably just me. I can sometimes like wonder, but I thought, hang on, something just happened there that I wasn't too sure of, and I just whizzed it back like 20 seconds, and the stairs disappeared. So so when they go down into that room, and then they hear the tapping in the floorboards, and they turn to look at where they just came down these like library stairs, and they're not there anymore. They're just gone. Mulder makes Scully jump. I can't quite remember how, but is it like something to do with the torch or something? I don't know. Can't remember. Or he puts his does he put his hand on her or something? I don't. Yeah, he makes a jump anyway. I remember her reaction being the thing that I remember. Just the fact that because she's been banging on about how she's not scared and that, and then she clearly shows evidence to the contrary here. It turns out there's a dead body times two dead bodies under the floorboards, and they are wearing Mulder and Scully's clothes. Their exact clothing.
Which is super freaky, isn't it?
You
know, if I'm surprised Scully's not spouting off some nonsense about a gas leak and a shared hallucination or something at this point.
Basically, they run and into the same room that they just came out of. So they just go through the door, and when they go through the door, they come straight back into the room they were just in. So then they separate. Mulder kind of goes, hang on, stay there a minute. Let me... he goes through one room, and he can't get back. So they're both in the same room, but...
It's separate.
But separate. So it becomes...
Follow that,
becomes
podcast listeners.
Follow that. It becomes a bit of a messing with your mind kind of thing. I'm enjoying it at this point. I didn't remember any of this stuff, to be honest, when I came to it this time, but I'm kind of really enjoying it. Mulder tries to shoot the door handle, but it turns out there's a brick wall behind the door, and that's when Ed Asner appears and confronts Mulder and laughs at his assertion that he's a ghost. Mulder says, basically says, "You're a ghost. You must be a ghost." He laughs that off and just says, "Why don't you have a seat, son?" And then that's when he goes into some psychoanalysis of Mulder. Really nice kind of moment here. So he's how do you get her to come with you? You steal her car keys? To which, that is the truth. Mulder did actually steal her car keys.
I think my favourite line here when they're talking is you've probably convinced yourself you believe in aliens.
But this whole kind of dialogue here with Ed Asner, he just basically breaks Mulder down. Just his psychology, just completely owns who he is as a person and just throws it in his face. And at the end of it, essentially the conclusion there is that you're lonely. That Mulder's hit with this harsh truth that he is a lonely guy. And we've seen evidence of that even within the last couple of episodes, with the way he lives, the fact that he didn't even have a bed in his apartment until what's his face got him one. So just for all intents and purposes, Mulder is a pretty lonely guy.
But this hits Mulder. Like it really does hit him quite hard. Like you can tell he's like shaken by this truth of someone that's just instantly met him and just found out exactly everything about him. So much so that it leads on to a little comedic bit at the end of this scene. He convinces Mulder that he can just walk. It's just a door.
Yeah. He slams into the wall. Yeah, great stuff.
Straight into the wall.
Then we go to Scully, who is in the same room, but not. Again, think about the budget. There's two different locations, but it's the same location. So we get these two really long scenes that are all shot in the same location. All you're swapping out is the actors, which is genius, absolute genius. So Lily Tomlin steps in and makes Scully jump, and that's when we see, for those again who are watching, you see the image that I picked for our thumbnail behind us there. That's the reaction we get from Scully. She basically bricks it. She says, "We found bodies," and Lily Tomlin's just like so chilled, so relaxed. She's just taking it in a stride, and she's like, "Where's these bodies of which you speak?" And Scully again comes across the brick wall. She can't get through the door. It's just a brick wall. And that's when we get another psychoanalysis session. So this is like another session on the couch. Only this time it's Tomlin kind of doing a bit of psychoanalysis on Scully.
Mm-hmm.
She basically says, she boils Scully down to, particularly Scully's relationship with Mulder, down to intimacy through codependency. Which we kind of saw at the beginning, really, when Scully was kind of chanting to herself that, you know, be strong, don't do it. I'm not going to do New Year's resolution. But she has intimacy with Mulder. It's like a codependent thing. She needs it. That's where she gets her intimacy from. So this relationship she has with Mulder is a codependent relationship, and so it's then we get a death becomes her kind of.
Yeah.
That's the thing I thought of anyway. She basically, Lily Tomlin basically revealed her hole, her gunshot hole. Yeah. Careful. Ooh, behave. She's basically got a gunshot wound.
Yeah, but the way the direction is and the camera moves is really phenomenal here, because you get to see Scully kind of pierce through the gunshot wound.
Yeah, it's a bit like T-1000, isn't it? It's at that point that Scully faints, and have we ever seen Scully faint before? I know we've seen her be knocked out. I'm not sure we've ever seen her faint.
No. I'm sure Mulder's done it.
Yeah,
that one episode where he broke a nail or something.
Ghost trying to get Mulder and Scully to kill themselves is basically the gist. That's their reason for this kind of psychoanalysis session. What they are trying to do is break the two of them down, break Mulder and Scully down from a psychological standpoint, in order to try and push them into, well, really killing themselves and each other, and so that's the fun they have on Christmas Eve. That the price they pay for having topped themselves all those years ago is that they are now ghosts stuck in this place, and the only fun they seem to derive from their existence is trying to get other people to kill themselves, which is fun.
Yeah.
Mulder climbs up to the balcony where Tomlin comes in. He deduces that she's a ghost after she walks down the stairs. One of the star-crossed lovers, as he puts it. How the Ghost Stole Christmas by R. Grimes. So, this is a book that does she pull it off the shelf, or he pulls it off the shelf or something?
Well, she does that magic where she's like pulling out random books and then she picks it.
Yeah, that's it. So it's been a couple of weeks since I saw this, guys. I made a note a few weeks ago. So
unlike the guy, she's just kind of like showing that she is a ghost. She's not hiding it.
Yeah. She comes at it from a completely different tack, basically. So, but she has this really great line where she says, "I don't show my hole to just anyone."
Yep.
Oh, great stuff. How they got away with that back then, I don't know.
Oh, I have no idea.
So she tries to convince him that he and Scully will kill each other.
Yeah.
And he says, no way. She gives him his gun and disappears. Okay, so...
Yep.
All right. Then we go to Asner trying to wind Scully up. So it's just basically they've had their little crack at their psychoanalysis, and they've basically swapped. Right, you take a crack at him now. I'll have a crack at her. So yeah, he tries to wind Scully up and convince her that that Mulder is disturbed and is going to kill her due to loneliness. He gives her keys, and Mulder bangs on the door. Asda.
Morris.
Asner lets him in by Scully's order, and he enters and fires his gun at her. Yeah. He keeps
and
missing.
We, the viewers, we don't know what's going on as the viewer.
No, so it kind of fades out, doesn't it? It kind of fades to black. He fires a gun at her and it fades to black. Presumably that's where they would have put an ad break when it was on network television. And then you come back after the ad break and Mulder is still firing away like he wants her to fire back. But she doesn't. So he shoots her.
That is how I imagine Mulder shoots, a few meters away from the suspect and missing. So yeah, I'm just like, that's just Mulder. That's
kind of it. You're just like, Mulder, typical. Can't even hit his target at close range. So he shoots her. Yeah, he actually shoots her. Then he puts the gun to his head, and we see that it's actually Tomlin. So he's kind of making Scully see her as Mulder. So she was trying to get her to fire at Mulder, but she wouldn't. So she just shot Scully, and then she puts the gun to his head. It's all very confusing.
Yes.
It's like a body swap episode again. We've just come off the back of a body swap episode, and now we're into more body swap kind of territory. So he puts the gun to his head. We see it's Tomlin, and then Asner drags him / her away. Mulder finds Scully, and she shoots him. Then turns into Tomlin. So they're basically playing the same game, but on each of them. So the trick they just pulled on Scully, they're now pulling on Mulder.
And can you think back to when you first saw this, if you thought they'd been shot?
I think my thoughts on, if you remember last episode, I think I alluded to the fact that you never remember what we said last episode. You couldn't even remember that Dreamland was a two-parter, crying out loud.
No.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure I said at the end of the last episode that the thing I remember about this that kind of made it really dip for me was that the ending didn't really make sense. Or my memory of it was always that the ending didn't make sense. It was convoluted, I think, is like when I watch this now and when I look at my notes, when I look at what Asner and Tomlin are trying to do, which is to get these two to either shoot themselves or shoot each other, I feel like the way they go about it is very convoluted, like needlessly convoluted, like in a way that kind of like so this is a game to them, this is the game that they play, and I feel like that at this point, if Mulder and Scully shoot each other now, because they come out right, Mulder finds Scully, she shoots him, then turns into Tomlin. So they both have gunshot wounds now, right? Scully thinks that Mulder shot her. Mulder thinks that Scully shot him. And then they meet each other at the stairs, So they're crawling along with a kind of blood pouring out. They think they've been shot, and they think it's the other person who shot them. And it's really all a mirage. It's all an illusion that's been put in their head. And I feel like, personally, because this is a game to Asner and Tomlin, the way that they've gone about trying to win this game, to me, would feel unsatisfying to them. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the tactics that they've employed, like if I was them and I was playing this game, it would be somewhat unsatisfying. I would feel like I'd cheated. Does that make sense?
I suppose, but I guess if you put in their mindset, like they can only kill, it seems, on Christmas Eve because there's something there's a conversation about a date they've chosen.
Yeah.
And nobody, like, it's very rare they get somebody on Christmas Eve. So maybe they're just trying to wring every bit of playfulness out of it. You know, like not trying to rush down their meal, but savour it and have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. They're not allowed to kill them with their own hand.
They can't do that. Yeah, they need to make them kill themselves.
So it's not really about the game so much as the result. You think the killing itself is the thing that they get off on rather than the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they can't. All they can do is psychologically mess with them, make them see. They can't actually kill it. They need to cause them to do it themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
I think.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's kind of the conclusion I came to upon this watch, which is why I gave it a lot more slack this time around. It has gone up quite a lot for me personally this time around. So, so they both meet anyway. Mulder and Scully are at the stairs. That they're kind of they're crawling along because they think they've been shot. And Scully's like, "I'm leaving, Mulder," and he's like, "Not without me, you're not." And she's like, "Are you afraid, Mulder?" "I am." And he's like, "I am too." And then Mulder figures out that they've not actually shot. And then they just leave. No blood. It's just like, oh, okay. And they just get up and leave. As simple as that. And then we see Asner and Lily say that they almost got them. It's like they're just sat there kind of mulling it over. We almost got him. Yeah. They just didn't quite get there this year. And they wonder what drove them there, the meaning of Christmas. So, and I'm not quite sure why I put that that note, the meaning of Christmas. I'm assuming they said something that was all about...
Possibly.
Yeah. You forgot.
Possibly.
Okay, so Mulder watches Scrooge back at his apartment. He's sat there watching Scrooge, and some psychoanalysis, acknowledgement, and an exchange of Christmas gifts. So basically, Scully comes round, and they exchange. It's a really nice moment where they exchange Christmas gifts, and you sense that they've kind of taken on board what was said to them during the psychoanalytics of what Asner and Tomlin were doing. And it makes like a nice little moment between the two that essentially feels like a bit of character growth between them, like acceptance of who they are as individuals. Final thoughts?
Okay, how the Ghost Stole Christmas is, like, from all the aesthetics in a ghost story, and I love a Christmas ghost story, it should be something that I love. I just never get there with the film. I think the episode, I think the performers are great, but it just feels lacking in something, and I'm not too sure what it is, because I do think there is a little bit of substance there, but it's not mined as properly as it should be. And as good as all the effects and the setting is, I just feel it's an almost nothing episode. And it's not as fun as some of the other ones that came before it. Like I kept wanting to love it, but just never getting there. I think I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5.
Wow. Okay. So I really enjoyed this one. On this watch, it's like everything up to when they think they've shot each other, or when they think the other person has shot them. That's when I start getting a little bit confused as to motivations and that kind of thing. But it is kind of cleared up once we get there at the end. I do agree with you in the sense that this is a bit of a throwaway episode. Although I do think it does a nice job of revealing a little bit about both Mulder and Scully. I think it's a beautifully set up episode, and I love the fact that it all takes place in this one location. I love the fact that we only get a couple of guest stars, and it really is that tete-a-tete between them. But I gotta admit, I really did have a blast with this. Just the interactions between Mulder and Scully, between Mulder and Asda. Why do I keep calling him Asda?
Just call him Morris. His name is Morris.
Between Mulder and Asna, and between Scully and Tomlin, and you know, look, we sailed through this. You know, normally we go deep into some scenes, and like half an hour in, and we've finished talking about the episode essentially, and that's because there's not a lot of plot. Well, it's not full of holes. There's just no plot. There's no plot for it to have holes in. It's just
the ghosts that are full of holes.
It's too. Oh, yeah. You know, our main characters get to this place. They're in there for not 5 minutes when two ghosts show up, and they start talking. And before long, the episode is over. Essentially, you know what I mean? There's not a right lot of plot. If you look at Dreamland, we're all over the place. We go here, we go to the wife, we go back to the Area 51, we're back at the FBI, we're in Mulder's apartment, we've got these people doing their own thing, we've got Mulder doing his own thing, we've got Morris doing his own thing. There's a lot of plot there. We don't have that here. We're just, we're stuck in a house, there's people talking, there's a few jump scares, and then we're over. So in that respect, there's not really a lot to say about it, to review. It just comes, it's really all about how much I was entertained. And I got to admit, I was entertained quite a lot. You know, seeing Scully's reactions to things, like being scared out of her wits when she's just spent so much energy trying to downplay the fact that she's scared out of her wits. And I enjoyed it. Now, I did write on my notes a 4.5 out of 5. But I'm going to take that with a pinch of salt, because in the past, I've had a very similar reaction to this episode that you've just had. So now I'm torn between, okay, can I really trust myself? Was I simply just in a good mood the night I watched this for review? Or do I trust this score? I don't know. So I don't know whether to put it at a 4 or stick with that 4.5. But I think, based on that viewing, I'm going with a 4.5 because I was just simply entertained by it. Is it a all-time classic? No. Does it have a few moments where it makes you have to go, no, wait, the mechanics of this, maybe are they not working as well as they want it to? But at the end of all that, I don't care, because I'm just entertained. I find it quite funny in places. So yeah, good. There you go. 4.5.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about terms of endearment.
Terms of endearment. So another big guest star in the shape of Bruce Campbell.
Sold.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So I'm reluctant to say anything for fear of spoiling it.
Okay.
I can't. There's certain information. It's been a long time since I've seen it. There's certain information where I'm reluctant to give it away because I can't remember if that was information that was given to us in the introduction or whether it's information that is a twist at the end or what. But either way, it's about a demon. It's about a demon, and it guest stars Bruce Campbell, and that's about all I'm going to say, just for fear of ruining it for you, basically.
Groovy.
Groovy.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there we go. So join us next week when we watch Terms of Endearment and Hail to the King when we watch that one. I'm looking forward to it. Bruce Campbell. Yeah. That's enough for me, Brian. Simple man. What can I say? So if you wouldn't mind out there in podcast land or YouTube world liking or rating our episodes, it would do us a great deal of good and allow other people to discover our podcast. As always, we will see you next week when we discuss Terms of Endearment.